Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Tad Bit More Fit. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I've been to spend this time with you on this webinar. About to share something with you that really is my life's passion, and there's nothing I love more than sharing this subject with people. My entire life I've been committed to health and wellness, and particularly though the things I like to share with you are the things that most people never really think about and you don't hear about. I believe the exercise community and diet community and et cetera, and the gyms, they have a lot of things wrong. They teach us wrong things, wrong ways of thinking about our health and our wellness and our fitness. And today I want to set the record straight on a few things. So might get a little passionate. Don't let that scare you, but this is something I really love. So this is A Tad Bit More Fit. And today I'm just going to scratch the surface because this is the first of a series of 6 webinars I'll be doing in the month of October on Tuesdays and Thursdays starting today. The rest of the Tuesdays and Thursdays of October I'll be doing them. Tuesdays I'll be focused on diet. Thursdays I'll be focused on exercise. And I'm going to be pouring into you the little things that make a big difference. Let me talk to you a little bit about who I am and what my life has been about. First, this webinar that you're on has an actual slideshow that you control yourself. You see it over to your right there. You're going to control it. There's right and left arrows on it, and you'll see numbers on the slide. And I'm going to talk you through those slides as we go. So go ahead and click on that right arrow right now. And let's go to slide 2 as I introduce myself so you can see a few pictures of me that will probably scare you. I know the first thing you're seeing when you get to slide number 2, you're going, oh my gosh, Tad, what happened to the hair? What's up with the hair? Well, now when people ask me, why did you shave your head? I just show them that picture and they go, okay, now I know why you did. That was the 80s. Come on, y'all. You remember the 80s? Sun-in, remember that stuff? I think I had a sun-in addiction. I just got a little carried away, bleached it all out. Anyway, my wife, Dr. Gina, and I have to call her Dr. Gina, she and I have had a lifelong career in health and wellness. And not a career, it's really our life. The career is secondary to the fact of what we do and how we live, and I'm going to talk to you about that today. But when we first met back in the 80s, we both had won bodybuilding championships. We went on to win Mr. and Miss Missouri. It's a pretty big deal when we got married 25 years ago. Clap for us, yay. And also went on to win national championships in bodybuilding. But we never stopped. It was a lifestyle for us. Before we ever started competing and long after we stopped. Well, I stopped competing. My wife is still a competitor. To be honest with you, she went on from there. In these pictures you can see she went on to be a fitness competitor after bodybuilding. After having both of the kids, our 2 children, she went back into fitness competition and got her IFBB Pro card within a year. And then after a while, she got bored with that and went into NASCAR. As you can see the pictures down in the bottom. Made history as the first leader, the first all-female pit crew. The Jack girl jumping out in front of the cars, flying into the pits. It's crazy. And she has to be. She's married to me, so what do you expect? And anyway, she made history in that and then got tired of that, went back and got her doctorate. She's Dr. Gina. And then now she most recently has gone into competitive rowing. And actually this weekend we'll be in Boston as she competes with only 1 year of rowing in the biggest, most prestigious regatta that you have to be invited to. Everybody said she couldn't get invited to. She got invited to it. So it's just our life. It's who we are. It's what we live. It's how we've been. And it's a lifestyle that we live regardless of where we're competing or what we're doing. We live a certain way and we eat a certain way. And I want to talk about why that is and what it's all about today. But as we go through this slideshow, I want to talk to you specifically today about weight. You know, that's a big problem. Everybody thinks weight is an issue and they're worried about their weight. And we have obesity at such high levels in our country today. And today I'm going to talk to you about what the real problem is. First, go ahead and click on that right arrow. Go to slide number 3. And what you see here is a very, very, very small example of the, gosh, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of books out there on diet. It's crazy how many diets are out there. How many diets have you seen? How many diets have you personally tried or friends that you try? I mean, look at some of these on here. There is no shortage of diet. I can tell you that right now. There's absolutely not a shortage of diet. There never will be a shortage of diets. The only thing there is ever a shortage of is of people actually being successful on their diets and going through it. And so as a result, diets just are not effective. Diets just don't work, to be honest with you, whether it's the South Beach Paleo, Fatkins diet, that's what I call it, Fatkins diet, Brazilian booty diet, whatever, blah, 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 on they go. It's too far of a departure. It's inconvenient, and the reality is that being overweight is not the problem. Some of you watching this webinar right now have struggled with the fact that you feel your problem is that you are not at your ideal weight, whether it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever it is for you, you feel like you have a weight problem. And I want to explain today, and hopefully by the time I finish this webinar, you'll be completely clear on the fact that what you have is not a weight problem. As a matter of fact, your belly, your booty, your body is not the problem. They're nothing but symptoms. That's all they really are. They're nothing but a symptom, because that's the problem with diets in the first place. And that's why none of these diets you see there ever work, because they're not focused on the problem. They're focused on a symptom. You see, the weight, the excess weight, is nothing but a symptom. Now, let me give you an example. It'd be like if you have allergies and you try to cure your allergies with Benadryl. Okay? Now, Benadryl can very effectively make your symptoms go away for a while. Benadryl can very effectively shut your kids up and make them go to sleep. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it can. Some people do that. I never did that. Tyler and Tana, if you're watching this, I did not do that to you. Anyway, Benadryl can make symptoms go away for a short period of time. But those symptoms will always return. And why will those symptoms return? They're going to return because it doesn't deal with the problem. It deals with the symptoms. And that's exactly the problem, because the symptoms will always return if you don't deal with the problem, if you don't deal with the allergies. And that's exactly why the weight always returns. Maybe you've tried multiple different diets before. You've tried diet after diet after diet after diet, and the weight keeps coming back. And the only problem is typically when the weight leaves on the diet, when it comes back, it brings a few more friends with it. You know what I'm talking about? And it seems like every time the scale just goes a little higher and a little higher and a little higher. And it's because you're never really dealing with the problem. And because your focus is on the symptom, the problem increasingly tends to get worse and worse. Because to be honest with you, diets are probably one of the leading causes of obesity. Oh my gosh, should I just say that? I'm going to say some stuff in this webinar, by the way. People are going to freak out. They're going to be blasting me online, but it's okay, because you know what? As it relates to stuff, I'm very strong about it. And I'm telling you right now, diets that are out there, all these diets you see, they are some of the biggest causes of obesity we have in the world today. And the reason being is they're getting people focused on the symptoms. The symptoms come back, and it makes the problem worse, because the problem is not the weight. What's happening is, in the end, the problem isn't even what you eat. You've been worrying about what you eat. What you eat is not the problem. The real problem is it's all a result of a lifestyle problem. It's your lifestyle. That's why it is it. And by your lifestyle, I'm not just talking about how you exercise and how you eat. I'm talking about important things like how you see yourself. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? When you look in the mirror, what do you say about yourself? How do you see yourself? How do you see your day? When you look at your day, when you're thinking about what is most important in your day and what you have to fit in, where do you count into that? Where does your health, where does your future count into that? How do you see your future? How do you see yourself? Let me tell you something. You got one body. One. This is it. This is all we got. We got one shot at this. We don't get a second shot. We don't get another shot. What have you been waiting on? Why do you keep looking at a symptom rather than the problem? Because the real problem is how you see yourself. It's how you see your day. It's what you see as most important. It's how you see your ability to succeed. And this is why diets have caused so much obesity and so many problems. The reason being is because diets set you up for failure. A diet will set you up for failure every time, because it does not deal with the problems, it deals with the symptoms. So as a result, when you're done, you know what you feel like is a failure. You collapse, you make your diet, your lifestyle becomes even worse, because you see yourself as a failure, and you continue to fail and fail and fail, and after a while you don't even want to try anymore. Let me tell you something. Failing at diets, I don't care how many diets you failed at, doesn't mean you can't win at changing your lifestyle. And when you change your lifestyle, it will ultimately lead to you controlling your weight. But that's not the problem. That's a symptom. The thing we got to deal with is the lifestyle. How you see your life, how you see yourself, how you see your day, how you see what's important, how you see food and what that means to you. So my question is, what do you think? Are you ready for a lifestyle change? Because that's what I want to talk to you about today. Because a lifestyle change starts with the way that you think about all of these things. And that's what I'm going to be addressing today. I'm not going to be giving you today, in the future ones, I'll give you some more specifics. I'm not going to be telling you, eat this, eat that. I'm going to help address the real problem first, and that is right here. I'm going to address this problem right here and how you think about food, how you think about your diet, how you think about yourself, how you see all these things work in your life. I'm going to address that today. And my hopes is by the end of this webinar, you're going to see and think differently about these things so that we can then begin to put some fat on the bones, so to speak, or we'll say muscle on the bones because we don't want fat, right? So here is it in the end, okay? If your goal is to weigh less or to have less body fat, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what the diets are. The only reason anytime a diet seemingly works for a period of time is because in the end, it comes down to a simple equation. Let's go to the next slide. I want to show you. Go to slide number 4. This is the equation. It's real simple. Calories in minus calories burned equals calories stored, right? It's that simple. Calories in minus calories burned equals calories stored. No matter what. The reason the Atkins diet works so well for people, listen, the whole glycemic index and all that, and again, I'm going to get blasted by people and all this stuff, but I don't care. Because in the end, those things mean a little bit, a tiny bit, but not the tiny bit that makes a big difference. It's the tiny bit that makes no difference because they tell you it's a big thing and it's not a big thing. The big thing is the calories in the end. And the Atkins diet worked for people that were 100 pounds and more overweight because you can only eat so much protein and fat before you want to barf. That's it. You can't eat anymore. So in the end, they just ate less calories. That's why they lost weight. And that's why that diet didn't work really well for people that didn't have as much weight to lose, who weren't big eaters, because they found themselves still in the same calorie range. Maybe they felt a little different. Their blood sugars were a little different, but they didn't really see themselves dropping the pounds because in the end, every one of these diets, if it's successful, comes down to this equation. That's why we don't need a diet. If we live with this thought process, if we live with an understanding of how this works and how this is stored in our body, then we'll get an understanding of how to live and how to see food and how to see our life. So let's talk about that for a minute because let's go to slide number 5 because I'm going to show you something that is something I've coined. This is a phrase, and that is that your fat cells are metabolic junk drawers. That's what I call them. You know what a junk drawer is? Most people have got them. If it was up to my wife, there wouldn't be any in the house. If it's up to me, we'd have 10 junk drawers, and we probably have 5 because we meet somewhere in the middle. Because I'm the type of person that I don't know what it is. I grew up in the Midwest, Polish, have that coal miner, whatever mindset. That I don't want to throw something away that's valuable. You know, I remember my grandmother when she passed away down in her basement. Oh my goodness, the stuff they pulled out of there. You go, why did she save these things? But the mindset was, I might need that one day. You know, that's what junk drawers are. Everything you put in your junk drawer is something you say, man, I don't need this right now, but this has value. So maybe one day I might need it, and you put it in the junk drawer. That's exactly what your fat cells are. Your body just is looking at those calories, and here's the deal. Calories that you consume all have value. They have caloric value. Protein has 4 calories. Carbohydrates has 4 calories. Alcohol has 7 calories. Fat has 9 calories, all per gram. And those things have a value to your body. There's a number actually assigned to it, and it's a value. And when your body consumes them, it uses everything it can, and then when it's done, everything it can't use, everything that it took in that it couldn't burn now gets stored in those metabolic junk drawers, and that is your fat cells. It's that simple. Why? Because your body was created to be able to survive. Your body was created to where if you were stranded on an island one day, shipwrecked or whatever, that you could live for an extended period of time, like you see people on television all the time, these news stories of going for an extended period of time. They come out, there's almost nothing left on them, but their body started off first by tapping into those resources of that fat. Why? It was storing those things in its junk drawers in case it needed it one day. The only problem is our bodies today don't realize that that we don't have that problem. Our bodies don't realize there's a McDonald's on every corner, or well, actually, our bodies are realizing, unfortunately, but our metabolisms, our structure, the way our body deals with calorie doesn't realize that. So as a result, it continues to store those things. And listen, food is not a problem. Definitely not in Texas. A lack of food is not a problem. Texas has a serious obesity issue, but it's not an obesity issue. It's a lifestyle issue. And that's why we're seeing this symptom running so rampant in everything we do. But because these are your metabolic junk drawers, here's what you have to realize. The number of fat cells that you have in your body, you're always going to have. They don't go away. People will say, well, I'm losing fat. I'm burning fat. Listen, you don't ever burn fat. Unless you take some gasoline and pour it on your belly or pour it on your booty and light it on fire, you're not burning any fat, or maybe some bacon on the grill. You're not burning fat by doing that. You're burning calories. You're burning calories and using calories that would have otherwise been stored as fat. And as a result, when your body doesn't have enough, what's it do? It starts tapping into those resources. It starts going to the junk drawers. Hey, I need that now. It goes in there. It looks for it. It takes it out and starts taking it. But the fat cell, the junk drawer, stays there. The junk drawer never goes away. It just gets less full or more full. It's that simple. And that's what your body does. That's why liposuction is not a way to control weight. Liposuction doesn't deal with the problem because you take away your junk drawers. If you're a pack rat, and our body are pack rats, our body's not going to just let go of anything that has value. Calories has value. It's going to store it somewhere. So you can go in and suck your fat out of here, suck your fat out of here, suck your fat out of here, wherever you want to suck it out of. But your body's still going to store all those calories in the remaining fat cells because you have fat cells all over your body. It just so happens you might have more in one area or another. We all do. We all hold it in different areas, you know. A lot of times women tend to hold it in their legs or in their hiney, and guys tend to hold it in their belly, or depending on your heritage, if you're German, whatever else, you can see a lot of tendencies that come from that in the areas that you store fat. But it doesn't mean that your fat cells are bigger in that area. You just have a greater number of fat cells. So your body stores fat evenly in all of your cells. It just so happens that in the areas where there's more cells, because they all grow 50%, you have 1,000 things grow 50% versus 10 things, you see a bigger difference, right? So you have more fat cells in those areas. So if you were to go in and suck out all of your fat cells, there's no way to get rid of all of them. Let's say there was just one left right here on your cheek. You know what would happen? You'd have a 100-pound fat cell on your cheek going around because your body's going to store that fat. So that's not a way to deal with it. Liposuction is not an answer to control weight. And any plastic surgeon that you ever talk to, or it's even watching this, if you're doing liposuction on people with a weight problem and you're telling them it's going to control their weight, you're a criminal. Stop doing it. Quit taking their money. Magic fat melting wraps and all this other stuff and fat melting pills, they just don't work because you can't melt fat. It's not going to go away. You've got it. We just have to decide how much we're going to store in that fat. And when we give it less to store, then we have less there. So how do we deal with that? Well, we talked about the equation earlier, right? So let's go back to the slide. Let's go to slide number 6. And let's look at this, go back to the equation, and let's look at it again in a little different light. If we have less calories in, right, because we said calories in minus calories burned equals calories stored. So how do we deal with the problem? Well, 3 different ways we can deal with that. Less calories in. Zip it. Eat different to where we have less calories. We'll talk about that in a moment. Less calories in, or we can burn more calories. Either one of those will equal up to less calories stored. But obviously, the most effective way, and you don't have to be a complete math genius to understand this, is to do both. If you want quick results, you have less calories in, you burn more calories, and then you will store less calories in your metabolic junk drawers. So let's talk about some different ways to do that, because no matter what the diets that are out there that claim to be miracle diets, it doesn't matter. If it does this miracle math, it works. That's it. So don't do the diet. Hey, if you want a diet for a structure, whatever, it's not that. It's not going to work because in the end, diet is foreign from what you do. You will return to what you do, and this problem will come back. We got to deal with the real problem, and that is your lifestyle. Let's go to the next slide. Let me give you an example on calories in. Go to slide number 7. Look at this. Those cucumbers plus that asparagus equals that piece of chocolate pie. I'm going to get a lot of flack on this, but it's okay. Those are the same amount of calories. That one piece of chocolate pie or all those cucumbers and all those asparagus. Okay? So the reality is, in the end, is if your body has all the calorie it needs. Now, let's forget the glycemic index and all that. I'm going to face trouble on that, but I don't care. We're talking calories here. This is important. If your body has all the calories it needs, if you were to eat that many cucumbers and that much asparagus, on top of the fact your body's already capped out and all the calories it can burn, and it has nothing left but to store them, okay? Probably make you pretty nauseous to eat that much fiber, but let's say you did it, for example, or you ate that piece of cake, you would store the same amount of fat. Why? Because it's calories. It's plain and simple. It's calories. Now, when you eat the cake, sure, there's a higher glycemic index. Your body has to absorb it more quickly, and the other ones have more fiber, and they're more complex carbohydrate, and they process more slowly. It's harder for your body to absorb it. It has a longer period of time to absorb it. But listen, that's not the big difference. The fact is, in the end, it's the calories. So listen, if you want to eat a piece of cake, what that means is you got to cut out the pasta. You got to cut out something else. You got to look at your calories if you're going to deal with it, because you have to understand what food means. It all has a value, and you have to work on those values so that you make sure in the end you're storing less if that's what your goals are. Okay? So That's a part of the end. So the end is easy to deal with. We'll talk more about that, but in the end, it's not so much important about the quality of food you eat. It is as it relates to your energy, as it relates to your health and everything else. We're going to talk about that in future weeks. Right now, I want to deal with the fact of the concept of storing too much fat or too much weight, weighing too much, okay? We're getting too many calories in. We got to deal with that. Second thing is burning calories. Let's go to the next slide, slide number 8. Now, typically, men carry more muscle than women by nature. I put this picture up there as a joke. The reality is that kid is what I look like, but I actually had less muscle than him when I was 14 years old. That's why I got into working out. But that's why men typically lose weight easier than women. So ladies out there, I know how frustrating it is for you. You and your husband go on a diet, and you are even stricter than him, and he loses 20 pounds, and you lose 2 ounces. And I know that's frustrating for you. But the reality is that men tend to lose weight more quickly only because they carry more muscle, because muscle is a big part of what burns calories, and this is what people don't understand. And that's why it's so important for women to understand the importance of muscle tone and being strong, because here's a false mentality people have, and that is, well, I need to lose weight, so I need to do more cardio. It's crazy. It's crazy. Cardio is not, you can't do enough cardio alone to make you lose the weight if you don't have increased muscle tone as a result. Cardio is fine. Cardio is good. It's good for your heart and lungs. It does increase. It does burn. It does elevate your metabolism. But here's the problem. When you do cardio, your metabolism gets elevated for the period of time that you're doing the cardio. Then when you stop, it does stay elevated for anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, depending on the individual's metabolism. It stays a little bit elevated, but then it goes back down to normal. When you increase your muscle mass overall, you're going to use more calories throughout your day, okay? So look at this. Go to the next slide. Go to slide number 9. First, let me tell you this, women. I put these pictures on here for you because every woman, I hear this so often from women. I don't want to have big muscles. I don't want to have big muscles. Listen, you're not going to get big muscles by accident. I only wish my muscles came in by accident. I can't tell you how hard I had to work and how hard I have to continue to work just to try and keep them. It doesn't happen by accident, okay? And do some women pick up a little more muscle more easily than some other women? Sure, based on your genetics, based on your natural testosterone levels. Women have different testosterone levels, just like men. They don't have a lot, but some women are naturally higher, so it's a little easier for them to put on muscle. But here's what you need to know. That muscle helps you burn calories. Let me give an example. Go to the next slide. Go to slide number 10. Look at these 2 cars, okay? If you drive both of these cars 100 miles, which one's going to burn more gas? The race car. Why? It has a bigger engine, right? Your muscles are your engine to your body. So if I was to get up, stand up, and walk over to the door behind me here, and one of you ladies watching this webinar were to stand up and walk to a door in your house the same distance, I would probably burn 2 to 3 times as many calories as you doing it. Why? Because I have more muscle mass, more muscle tone. So for you, listen, you don't need to do a bunch of arms. You're worried about arms. It's okay. There's a lot of other muscles we can deal with, and that's why it's so important. People don't get it. It's about understanding that there's so many different muscles in your body, and that's why you want to do an overall body workout, tone and strengthen all the muscles throughout all your entire body, because that's what's going to increase your metabolism. So ideally, and again, we'll get more specifically into this on Thursday as I talk about exercise, talking more about diet today, but I'm addressing the burn part, okay? We talked about calories in. Calories burned is the fact that your metabolism is not just some magic wind-up clock. It has to do with your activity level and to do with your muscle tone. And your muscle tone changes with age because it naturally stays on easier when you're younger and your hormone levels are higher. And if you're not doing some sort of resistance training, so by resistance training, it can be weights, it can be bands, it can be body weight, all the stuff they're doing today with the plyometrics, with the boot camps, with the CrossFit stuff and all that's going on with body weight, that's resistance. If there's something resisting against the muscle, it's increasing the tone and the strength in the muscle. It's also increasing your bone density, which is great, which is important for women because it helps offset osteoporosis. Very important. So go to the next slide, slide number 11. So ladies, you need to embrace resistance because strong is the new skinny. For you in your life, if you're strong, if you're toned, you'll be more skinny. Now this woman right here has a lot of muscle. Very similar to my wife's physique, okay? And in that, I don't think anybody would look at that and say that's gross or disgusting. But she has a lot of strength, a lot of tone all over her body. And as a result, this woman right here, I promise you, can eat a lot of calories in her day and consume it and stay that lean because she has so much muscle tone. Now, I'm not saying you need to get to that point. I'm just saying Every little bit. Remember, it's the little things that make a big difference. Every little bit of muscle tone, every bit of little muscle strength that you increase is dramatically over time burning more and more calories in your body. So over the period of a year, it equals pounds of fat. That's so important for you to get to that point, ladies, where you start to embrace that resistance. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be thinking, I just got to do more cardio. No, you need to take time to embrace resistance, get into a resistance training program. We'll talk about it in the future weeks so that you can burn more calories, okay? Let's get back to the food part. Let's get back to the calories in part real quick. Go to slide number 12, and I'm going to start to wrap this up in a minute because I'm wanting to keep this somewhere around 35 minutes. I don't want to go too far beyond this because I'm going to do multiple episodes. I hope you come back on Thursday, hear about exercise specifically. I hope you come back the episode after that and hear more about diet. And I'm saying days, but these are going to be logged. They will be available to you in the future. Other people that you know, you go, man, I really wish so-and-so would have heard this. This will be available after I'm done. It'll auto-load and it'll be back up here and people can play it and watch it again. But go to slide number 12 right now. Let me talk to one of the biggest parts of success for you now. Now that you know it's about calories in, here's what happens to most people is they get busy in their day, things start happening, and they didn't prepare for it. This is what you need to do. If you have a problem with food, in other words, if you have a problem of just not being able to control your diet, say, man, I just got busy, I ended up going out of town, and this happened, usually, for the most part, you know what's going to happen in your next day. So here's what I want to encourage you to do, and that is to pre-plan. Think about your next day before you go to bed. Think about where you're going to be. Is there going to be food available? Is there going to be healthy food available? And if there's not going to be healthy food available, then prepare it. You know, Larry North said this once. He said, lean people who are in shape are always packing. And he wasn't talking about weapons. He was talking about food. And it's funny because Larry North always packs his food. You'll see me a lot of times too. If I know I'm going to be busy during the day and going different places, I'll have my food. I'll have it packed. I'll take it with me. Okay? Or I pre-plan. I know where I'm going to eat, where I'm going to go, and I know what kind of food they have to offer so that I know I can get the food that I need. Another one I put in there was pre-eat. This is a big one for me, and you need to learn this too. You're going over to somebody's house or for an event or whatever else, and you know the food there's going to be awful. You know they're not going to have anything there for you that's healthy. So you know what you do? Eat before you go. Eat something healthy. When you go there, just take little bites. Take small amounts of things so that you can participate and be a part of it, but don't go in there hungry knowing you're not going to be able to get the food you need to get your caloric count into where you need to do. If you'll do those things, if you'll pre-plan, if you'll prepare, if you'll pre-eat, then you're going to prevent yourself from getting too many calories, and then you will prevail and you'll be successful at living a lifestyle that enables you to hold less weight. So important because it's just about planning. It's about seeing your day and making that important to you. Listen, most of you think about the next day. Most of you ladies think about what you're going to wear. Think about, does my hair need to be colored? Think about all these different things, but most people don't think about their food for the next day. And if that's been an issue for you, it's time to make that part of your planning. It's time to make that part of your thought process in what you do. Let's go to the next slide, slide number 13. I'm going to wrap this up right now, but first let me just tell you this. This is something you can do. I don't care if you felt like you failed before. Like I said, you failed at other diets and everything else too. Listen, this is something you can do. It's just about making a small change, a tad bit of a change today that'll make a big difference over time. In the upcoming episodes I'm going to be talking about, upcoming webinars, I'm going to be talking about more specifics about the diet. But here's what I want you to take away today. I want you to do this. If you've been having a problem with your weight, if that's something you see as an issue in your life, let's get away from seeing that as a problem and let's start thinking about the lifestyle. And one of the ways to do that is to get real with how much you're eating. Most people don't do it. Here's what most people do. They remember their successes, and it's great. I love that positive attitude. I'll never forget, there was a young lady that worked in a health club for me. It was back in the late 80s. And she was always tiny, and then all of a sudden, one season in her life, she started getting really big and gaining a lot of weight, and she couldn't figure out what's wrong. She asked me to help her, and so I told her, write down everything she eats, and she's writing everything down she eats, and I'm looking, I'm going, it's just not right. It's not justifying what's wrong with her. And she's going, that's all I eat. I don't eat anything else. I thought about it for a while. I didn't know what was going on. I go, there's got to be more. Then one day she wasn't where she was supposed to be. This was at a health club, and I was going around trying to find her, and I walked into this office. I opened the door, and she was sitting there with, you remember in the 80s they had leg warmers? She had candy stuffed in her leg warmers. She'd taken out, and she was eating the candy in her leg warmer. She goes, well, I don't do that often. I go, yeah, but it's not on your plan. The fact is you're not being real with what you're eating. That one candy bar, it's got 200-300 calories you're eating right there, you're consuming, and that's a meal for you because she's only like 4'10". So that's a big deal. You're smaller, you got less calories you can consume. Your body has less muscle. Your body can't burn as many calories. So here's what I encourage you to do. Between now and the next time you come back to watch the next webinar on weight control and diet, start a log. Start a log, start writing down what you eat. Or here's another way you can do it. If you're busy during the day, you don't have time to carry it and do it and everything else, take your cell phone out, take a picture of everything you eat during the day. Everything you eat and everything you drink. Listen, if you're drinking calories, I mean soda and things like that, that's a waste. Oh my goodness, you got to really understand sweet tea and all those things. You're consuming so many calories. If you're struggling with weight and you're drinking calories like that, it's going to be a struggle. Alcohol, same way. Listen, there's nothing wrong with having some alcohol. There's nothing wrong with having some of those drinks, but you got to figure that into your calorie count. Those are very real calories. As a matter of fact, those are calories that are very quickly taken on by your body. Matter of fact, carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. Alcohol is 7, and your body really can't deal with it. So it's going to end up getting stored as fat if you don't account for it in your diet. And that's very important for you to account for it in your diet, in your caloric expenditure. So between now and next time, I want to encourage you, either begin writing it all down or take a picture of everything that you eat that day. Then at the end of the day, I want you to sit down before you go to bed, and I want you to review it. And I want you to score yourself. How did I do today? Did I eat things that were high in calories? Listen, the reason I showed you that picture earlier with the cake and the fruits or the vegetables, the cucumbers and the asparagus, is because it's not the fact that you're eating starches. It's not the fact that you're eating carbohydrates. It's just that those carbohydrates are very calorie dense, very calorie rich, and you get a lot of calories in a small amount. That one little piece of pie or cake had more calories in it, or as much calories as all of those vegetables, full of fiber, full of everything else as well too. So hey, I'm not saying you can't have the cake. I'm saying if you're having the cake, you gotta deal with those calories somewhere else too. If you know you're gonna have a few drinks that night, a glass of wine, whatever else, plan that into your meal. Make sure you cut back some calories somewhere else. Treat yourself. It's okay to enjoy yourself. It's not about torturing yourself, but you got to pay attention to the calories you get. So take a picture of everything you eat. At the end of the night, sit down and review it and go through it and ask yourself, what could I have done better? How could I have done better today? And then plan your next day so that you can consistently be a little bit better. It's not about dramatically changing everything, completely dramatically changing your diet and everything else. It's about doing little things every day, little tiny things that make slight changes. And what you'll find out is a year from now, your life will look completely different. Your body's going to look completely different. You're going to feel completely different. And you're going to be on your way to seeing big results. And it will have happened in your life. Let's go to the next slide, slide number 14. And let me close by saying this. This Thursday, so in 2 days, I'll be back on here at 3 p.m. live talking about the secret workout. I'm going to talk about exercise. We're going to break into that. Then next Tuesday, I'm going to be back here talking about some more details as relate to diet. We talked about some big picture, talked about some thought processes. Next week, we're going to get into some details about that, okay? Right here at tadbitmorefit.com. Now, if you want to email me, any questions you have, you can email me at tad@tadbitmorefit.com. If for some reason that's not working, send the email again. My son's working on it right now. There was an issue with the email account, so continue to email me. And also, if you want some help with it too, listen, I do help people. I do customized workouts. I do personalized diets. I also do accountability with people to help them along the way too. I don't really believe so much in training. That's not what I do, because here's what I find. Most people really don't need a trainer. What they need is a teacher. What they need is a mentor. What they need is an accountability partner to empower them to be able to do it on their own. And that's what I do for people. If you're interested in that, you want some help with that, email me. I'd be glad to be able to take a look at what you're going through. And I take on a limited amount of clients to do that. I'd be glad to help you out. If I can fit you into my schedule, I'll let you know, see how much care you need and what I can do for you. I'd be glad to help you out with that. Just email me and I'll get back with you. I appreciate you being on here at tadbitmorefit.com, and I hope you got just a little bit today. Just a little bit, because that's all it takes is to get a little bit, and it's going to make a big difference. Come back Thursday. Come back and hear the next webinar. Come back next week, hear more about it. In the meantime, start counting those calories, start thinking about burning those calories, and start dealing with those metabolic junk drawers. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a great day. God bless you.